Welcome back to another SP60 championship video from this season. This time we're at Clay Pigeon in Dorset. Lovely track. I haven't been there for sort of 17 or 18 years was the last time we were at Clay Pigeon. So the circuit hasn't changed much since we've been there, but my memory of it has, and it took us a little while to get going. So qualified 17th for the first race of SP60. As you can see, the circuit's a little bit damp in places, but the actual racing line is pretty dry. So it's all pretty well behaved as we're starting this first lap. But as we come towards the horseshoe, there's a spinner in front and it all gets quite messy. We end up being sandwiched between two karts, completely lose all our momentum and just tumble all the way back. I can't tell you exactly how far back we went, but too far is the case for anybody. So we've now got a lot of work to do to try and get back into a reasonable position so that for race 2 we can possibly make something happen. So coming on to lap number 2 now, there's another spin going to the hairpin and we were left again with nowhere to go. Couldn't go left as we had the driver in the red suit to our left who just shot past us then. So we end up making contact again, losing a lot of momentum, and with each of these little collisions, which is part and parcel of starting in the mid-pack, we end up well behind the drivers in front with a lot of work to do. So we've got yellow flags as we go through the S's. You can see a driver stranded there on the grass being helped back onto the circuit by one of the marshals, which is fantastic. We make a move up the inside going into the hairpin and continue onward because we've got a bit of a gap we need to try and break down to get up to the two karts in front. Skip forward a little bit here and going through Billy's blind, we've got Nicky Richardson on the left there, getting out of the way nicely for us two coming through, and looking for a move going up into the hairpin, just allowing the kart to run on a little bit to try and make the move. And that's the leader Jack O'Neill coming past there, so you can sort of see how much time we lost over the first couple of laps. We also probably weren't the quickest in this race. I don't feel like we had the best kart, but we end up losing that place that we gained in the hairpin last lap, and we're going to see if we can try and make it up again as we go into that hairpin. Just trying to get our nose on the inside and not quite done it this time. Have to allow the space on the inside as we go through horseshoe, and we'll have to try and look to see if we can make that move again elsewhere. Can we do it through top bend? Yes, on the exit we're able to this time, and that's probably one of the few times on this Saturday that I was getting the top bend corner right. But you see there we're sort of down on power in this car, allow the driver to overtake, but they take a bit too much speed going through Billy's blind. We're able to keep the tighter line, and then through the S's we've got the preferred line going through there. So finally, after a couple of laps, we've made that move stick. Now moving on again, slightly late through the race, we've got the leaders, or the rest of the leaders coming through. So there's Owen Gemman coming past, who we had a nice battle with at Wilton Mill a few races ago, and Dante Dillon coming through as well. Don't want to slow these guys down, so we just get off the throttle, allow them through, and let them get on with their race. So I try and get on with mine, using them possibly to try and help tow me along, because we know we can be up with these guys, just not in this race. But we skip ahead, and nothing much really happened left in that race. So checkered flag, end of race 1, half an hour of racing, and with all the contact and loss of momentum at the start, it was quite a lonely race, that one. So it'll be P18 for race number 2. Managed to get back to P18 from pretty far down, which is reasonable damage limitation. So we're on the outside of the grid now. There's a bit of contact there in front of us, which we have to try and make sure we don't plough into the back of, and we're able to slip up the inside going through Billy's blind, and we get caught on the outside of the S here, but we managed to tuck ourselves in. And then can we get the inside of him? No. This time we've got to try and tuck behind him and see what we can do. Can we follow him for a move going through the hairpin? Well, there's a couple of karts stranded on the outside that have been forced wide, and we end up on the outside coming in towards horseshoe. Not sure we really want to be there. We know what happened in the last race, but we're able to avoid any comings together with people this time. Everyone's a bit more wary, a bit more way behaved, and got to get caught out there going through the right-hander before top bend. Driver in front kind of checked up there. I'm not sure if the driver in front of them had to get off the throttle, or if they got off the throttle with a bit of lack of control from the rear end on cold tyres. But either way, a little bit of contact, but they were able to get back on the circuit behind us, and we slip up the inside going through Billy's blind before the S's, and that's a few positions gained. Drivers in front move towards the left, where we're able to stick our nose at the inside going into the hairpin, and that's another position there. But on the exit, they're trying to come back on the outside of us, but we're able to keep ourselves alongside and keep it going through the horseshoe. Run a little bit wider coming out of it just to make sure that they get out of it and don't try and move going to the right-hander, and then through top bend. And really struggling on this corner this weekend, both on this Saturday and the Sunday sprints. Couldn't seem to get top bend right, and it was really hurting because it was a ferocious headwind all the way down the pit straight that isn't straight towards Billy's blind, and unless you had a kart that was absolutely a monster in a straight line, it was really tricky to keep momentum and people behind you unless they were playing ball and allowing themselves to push you along. But we make a move on the driver in front going through the hairpin, but we take a bit too much speed in and they're able to undercut us on the way back through, so we know next time we need to try and get rid of a little bit more speed before we exit to stop that undercut on the way out. Again, we get a good run through the S's, driver in front all over the place with that rear end, and they're looking over their shoulder, and I think here they're telling us that they want us to come through and they're going to use us to try and catch up to the group in front. So a good little bit of race sense there, thinking about what's the quickest race possible rather than having to defend this early in the race, because again it is a half-hour race. You don't want to be defending early. Can you use the people in front to help you out? Driver in front there must have got something wrong going through the S's, or maybe it's rejoining the circuit because they're slow coming through there, and we don't quite have enough time or pace to get around them coming through horseshoes. We've got yellow flags here stopping us from doing any overtaking as we go through right-hander, but we've gone past the incident now, so we can think about overtaking again. Able to stay in the slipstream as we go through top bend, look to the inside, but that's going to put us on the outside of Billy's blind, and we don't really want to do that unless you've got a real overspeed in the kart in front. And which still, as you were, as we go through the S's, we get a good run going through that second part of the S's. Kart felt quite nice and balanced through there. Look to the inside. Can we make a move happen there? No, the driver in front was just late enough on the brakes to stop us from having the overlap as we went into the horseshoe, and that gave us a bit of a horrible run going through the next corner. We had to keep it a bit tighter to avoid a driver on our outside, and that lost us some time going down towards top bend. But a couple of laps later, we're back in the wheel track to the driver in front, and as we go for a move going into the hairpin, get a bit clumsy, carry too much speed, end up knocking into the back of the driver, and we don't want to do that at all, so we slow down, try to wave him through so that we're not getting any advantage from that, but we lose a place from the driver behind us as we're doing that, and then eventually get ourselves going again, having given the driver behind us the opportunity to come back through. So a couple of laps later, we'll skip ahead to coming out of Billy's blind, about to go through the S's, and again getting a good tow all the way down to hairpin, and we just want to push the kart along in front of us at the moment. We've got a big old gap to the karts in front, but a bit too much speed through the hairpin leaves us the opportunity to now become the lead driver, and so we take it, and we've got a decent chunk of the race left at this point to try and eat into that gap in front. And as we can see, we've got the karts in front starting to get a little bit fighty with each other, get a bit racy, which is helping us. And as we've been trying to take perfect lines going round the Clay Pigeon circuit to gain as much time as possible, we leave the door wide open going through horseshoe, which allows the move to the inside of us, and we lose position there. So it's good learning that whilst taking the perfect line is going to give you the chance to gain some pace on the drivers in front, it also leaves you open to attack. Now we can see here, move up the inside of Andrew Gray in there in his Cincinnati Bengals inspired helmet, but he's able to get the switch back as he goes into the S's. That slows the driver down in front of us, and we end up sort of losing our momentum through the S's up to that point. So pretty sure Andrew started high up in this one, so maybe he's got a little bit unlucky with the kart draw for this race, but if he is trying to defend, we want to make sure that we get past him as soon as we can. So we take the switch back there, keep it nice and tight on the exit of Billy's blind, gives us a position going into the S's because you're not fighting it around the outside of there, be it lap 1 or any time. It's not an easy corner to go 2x2 in, so slot in behind Andrew, and we caught up with Kevin at this point, and we'll see what we can do. We've got 4 karts in front of us. Can we try and make a move in the last stages of this race to gain 4 positions? Well, one of them we do gain, but that's a bit of lap traffic, so that's no help to us in terms of positions, and we're looking ahead now. That other kart in front may well be lap traffic as well, so we want to try and get past that as quickly as possible. Going through the right-hander, we're able to, and now we've got top bend. There's a corner that has been our nemesis so far this weekend, and we get it all right this time, but we're not quite close enough to get a really good toe down towards Billy's blind. Kevin having a little look there, able to get the inside lap traffic, says thank you very much, but he runs too wide, and that allows Andrew up the inside of him going into the S's, hurts his momentum on the way through, and we might have a look going up towards the hairpin. Kevin goes towards the outside, probably not the wisest thing with karts behind him. We manage to slot it up the inside. Andrew takes a little bit too much speed going through. We're able to cut it back up the inside, and we get through going into horseshoe. So 2 positions in as many corners, and at this point we're just trying to get our head down and drive away, because we know that Andrew was struggling. Can we get away? Yes, we do. Cross the finish line, and we finish race number 2 in P7 overall. So a good little comeback there from P18 on the grid after our not particularly great race 1, and not a bad return to Clay Pigeon. We end up with our top 10 result, which we are looking for. So thank you very much for watching, and as always, have a good one.